Qualifying 2 for the International GTOpen begins now as the cars take to the circuit for half an hour of fast and furious attempts at getting to the very top of the grid for this afternoon's 60-minute race here at the Hungaroring. You see there the Optimum McLaren, the first car out there on circuit. Joe Osborne and Eager Beaver today then, and surely one of the favourites to challenge for the pole this morning. We saw Janine Schaffner. We just see her driving through shot there in that number 9 car. She, of course, led part of the race yesterday here at the Hungaroring overall. And she will be looking to get a solid qualifying in to optimise the chances of another success for her and Moritz Kranz today at the Hungaroring circuit. Axel Jeffries handing over qualifying duties today to Roman Zamian as well. So a few of the cars, of course, today in Pro-Am now being driven by the AM class runners. Today in this Qualy session, they'll be handing over to their pros mid-race. Yesterday in qualifying, it was Leonardo Pulcini in the 63 Oregon Racing Team Lamborghini that took the pole position by 0.08 of a second over Adam Christodoulou of FIBA Motorsport. So no pressure for Benjamin Hites. We've seen what the car can do. He's going to have to try and match the performance of the bold young Italian racer. Of course, the bad news, the sad news for FIBA Motorsport is they won't be taking part today, unfortunately. The crash that Rima Jafali had, completely uninjured, thankfully, in the aftermath, but the crash that she had at turn 9 in the race, unfortunately, has bent the front of the chassis. That car won't be out again today, but good to see that Carol Bash is out there now in the 777 Audi. That car suffered a leak yesterday, and the engine had to be replaced. I understand an engine was driven from the Nürburgring to get that car out on the circuit. So that's a positive for the team that leads the Pro-Am standings.
Yeah, massive positive. We saw them yesterday, unfortunately, spinning, and there was a terrible oil leak on the car, which eventually made its way out onto the circuit, unfortunately causing a safety car at that period of time. But nevertheless, great to see them back out on the track. We get to see Carol Bash now out here at Hungaroring as well. There's Joe Osborne making his way through the chicane. Of course, man, he didn't wasn't quite able to take the top end plaudits, but nevertheless it was certainly in the fight. You've got to give credit to the likes of Team GT as well, scoring their first overall win this season, and very much part of the Pro-Am category, taking the Pro-Am win, but also the overall win. What a super achievement, Adam Weller.
Yeah, no, definitely not often. It's not impossible, it's not entirely uncommon, but it doesn't happen often that a Pro-Am driver combination takes the overall win, but we did see that yesterday, aided of course by the fact that we had 2 safety cars as well. One very long safety car period towards the end of the race. Alain Valente made short work of Janine Schaffner to move into what was second place on the road. However, the car in the lead as they crossed the line to take the finish of the race was Benjamin Hites. However, he had 15 seconds worth of time penalties added to his race, 10 seconds for a jump start for Leo Pulcini at the start of the race, and 5 additional seconds, I believe, for trap limits, if I'm not mistaken. I can't actually remember. Oh no, it was handicap. Pit stop handicap. There are a lot of penalties for a lot of different reasons yesterday. It was pit stop handicap, the additional 5-second penalty for the 63 car. There we see Valentin Pierberg at the wheel of the number 20 SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes AMG GT3. Familiar car with a familiar team, even a familiar number and a familiar sponsor for Valentin Pierberg. Previous champion, 2018 Pro-Am champion, along with Tom Onslow Cole here in International GTOpen. This weekend, he's got Dominic Baumann for company at the wheel of the AMG GT3, and that really is quite the solid driver lineup. Benchmark at the moment in the session has been set by Christian Kozanovsky in the AM class Olymp Racing Ferrari. That's the number 5 car, but a 1:44.4, some way off the apex of pace we expect. Just to note as well quickly, while I'm thinking about the Olymp cars, Sebastian Bold goes top in that 911 car. Just to note, you saw Carol Bash come back into the pits wouldn't be alarmed by that. It's fairly standard protocol when you've had to install a new engine to just do a couple of laps, get back in there, make sure everything's okay, nothing's going to go heinously wrong after maybe a little mistake in the install or something like that. And no doubt Carol Bash will be back out there shortly.
Yeah, absolutely right. And obviously a few checks and tests to be made. Sebastian Bau, though, top, as you said, Adam, currently sat with a 143.334. Christian Kozanovsky, though, retakes the top end because of track limits. Again, unfortunately for Sebastian Bau, but he is showing something in the first sector. Oh, no, he has moved down to second. Christian Kozanovsky actually did cross the line and take P1.
Except now Kozanovsky has got track limits.
Oh, there you go. I was thinking ahead.
Yes, you were. You were about 10 seconds ahead of the timing screen there, predicting a track limits violation, and sure enough, it came. He could beckon birds onto the trees, could old George Morgan. Sebastian Bode through the middle sector now, then out of turn 11. Keep an eye on the track limits here. This is the critical place, just about within the white lines there, with the right side tyres. And so just about a legal run through that corner. We've just had David Fumanelli put his cards on the table, a 142.652. That's getting more toward benchmark performance for the driver of the 133 Kessel Ferrari that he shares with Murat Chadaroglu. So we'll see if Bod can get close. He's already lost 0.4 of a second plus compared to that time on this lap. Crosses the line now, and he goes second fast with the 43.3. But David Fumanelli, one of those great inevitabilities in GTOpen. There's a qualifying session with David Fumanelli in it. He's going to be fast, and he's already bettered himself by over a quarter of a second in that first sector. Yeah, purple at this moment in time comes through to the chicane now at turns 6 and 7. No stranger to pole position, certainly in this series. Actually took pole at Estoril at the very start of the season. Wonderful visit indeed, and I'm sure he's going to look to try and do the same again. Always a wonderful contender when it comes to qualifying, certainly here at GTOpen, as he now makes his way through this next ride. Currently sat in first place, no doubt looking to make that time, though, ever more convincing. Half a second now out of the mid-sector. Not bad at all here from Fumanelli. Oh, running out wide. As I say, that commentator's curse. I apologise, David, I really do. Well, given how far up he was, he might even still be a few hundredths quicker than himself, but still lost it all there going into turn 12. I think just braked a bit too late, asked a bit too much of the front Michelin tyres, putting all of his force through the braking foot and trying to turn at the same time. He doesn't quite best himself, 800ths off of his best time from last time, but it looks like a low 42, very much on the cards for this Kessel Racing driver. Yeah, absolutely right. Glenn Van Berlo, second fastest as well, representing the pro category. Team Oregon as well. They were right in the mix. Yesterday's winner, Alan Valente, now goes second fastest too. So there you have it, folks. We've got Fumanelli still on top, yet to be usurped despite his venture off track slightly in his previous run. Not quite as quick as his last one as he rounds through the next right. And then we just see him just a little bit of a brushing with the off-track there, unfortunately unable to get the car around the way he would have wanted to. Here's Joe Osborne back out on track and making his way around this next left too. Good lap this. He's got a purple first sector, solid second sector too. Osborne set to establish himself firmly, perhaps even on the top step. Look at that, 3.5 tenths purple compared to Fumanelli's fastest lap time. Here comes Osborne across the line. It's a 142.241 for the Optimum Motorsport crew in the 72. Can anyone best him? Certainly Fumanelli is going to want to get those sectors together again without a mistake at T12 to see if he can best that lap from Osborne. Yeah, absolutely right. Great lap from Joe Osborne, getting his sights in already. The purple in the first sector and the third as well. Looking very, very racy indeed. Fumanelli, though, has gone purple in the second sector now, so he is now considered faster, but now coming through the final corner of turn 14. Two Kessel cars making their way around this track now. One venturing in the pit lane. David Fumanelli, though, looking to try and retake that P1 spot. Can he do it? As now Fumanelli comes across the line, not quite. A 42.247. 6,000ths of a second off of Joe Osborne's best for now then. Very good stuff from David Fumanelli. I also want to note, even though they're in the pits at the moment, Jesse Krohn and the Racing Trevor BMW, they're making their debut this weekend. Rather, the BMW M4 is making its debut in International GTOpen this weekend. in the hands of the Racing Trevor team. Jesse Krohn, factory BMW driver. We know what he's capable of. We expect great things. We'll see if he can establish the car up to the sharp end of this session. You saw there the 72 head through turn 11, and he was over the white lines. The lap not looking that strong anyway for Joe Osborne in the 72 McLaren 720S GT3 car, so I don't think that lap will stand for Joe Osborne. Not that it's going to be faster than his best effort anyway, but Osborne continues to press on for now. We're not too far away from the point in the session where maybe the drivers have taken the very best out of the Michelin rubber, and we'll start to see them filter into the pit lane to go for a second run on new tyres. Ben Jahites has only just set his first flying lap of the session to go 8th fastest, my apologies, and that is the 63 Oregon Lamborghini, of course, the sister car to this number 19 of Glenn Van Berlo, which currently sits 3rd.
Yeah, Van Berlo now coming through turn 4. Very, very rapid as well, just keeping the car on the track, on rails. Oh, I tell you what, little switch from the front end as he now entered turn 5, but did well to keep control of the car as they now come down through towards the next chicane. Now at turn 6 and 7, he is absolutely flying. You can just see it rumbling over those strips, those curves, as he now heads through this next left now out of turn 8 in towards turn 9. A flick of the rear again. He is certainly going full send on that Team Oregon car. Alan Valente, who we've now got in picture coming into the pit lane, currently sat in 4th place. They, of course, as we said earlier on, winning yesterday's race. And Yannick Mettler has just moved up to P5 as well. We rejoin now Glenn Van Berlo as he heads through this next right-hander, trying to find some improvement certainly in the 3rd sector as he makes his way through. Next bend at turn 13 is what Beckins in. He'll then look to feather the throttle, get back onto the power before then taking a visit to turn 14 now once again. Looking to the inside, trying to keep to the apex, giving himself a nice launch, heading in towards the home straight. Making the Oregon car pitch itself this time. 3rd place currently as it now crosses the line. You currently see it, no improvement as of yet, still 3rd fastest.
Okay, so the session is just about 12 minutes old at the moment. Just under 18 minutes remain. Here's Fran Rueda in his return to the championship. Fran Rueda, who is a very experienced hand, a very familiar face within the GTOpen paddock, ran for several years with Teo Martin Motorsport in McLarens and BMWs, twice a runner-up in the overall championship, and a driver we expect to see again this year. Looking forward to seeing Fran Rueda re-establish himself in the championship. We haven't seen him race since 2020 in GT3 machinery. It's his first time in the Mercedes AMG cars. And you see they're just coming in at the moment, so he's decided he's seen the best out of the tyres on that car. We ride on boards with Karel Basch, currently 11th fastest in the re-engined Audi R8 LMS GT3 car, hopping over the curbs. He's done a personal best first sector. Now, these Audis tend to be very nimble, as do the Lamborghinis, through corners such as 8 and 9 that we've just gone through. So a solid first sector. What's sector 2 going to look like? Through turn 10 and now 11. Just wrestling to get the car to the apex, stayed well within the track limits there. You could tell even from the onboard that he's lost a lot of time there in sector 2, almost a second off the time of Joe Osborne on the lap so far. So Basch unlikely to challenge the first few rows, but he might bump himself up into the top 10. We know Karel Basch, under regular circumstances, can be a driver that fights for pole positions. However, of course, that car may still be walking a little bit wounded after yesterday's issues. A 143.464 puts Karel Basch up to 10th place.
Yeah, top 10 for Karel Basch. And in the Pro-Am category, of course, representing them this weekend here in the Audi as well, coming through this turn 1 again. And, let's see if he can find some improvements even out of that 10th place. Obviously, as Adam alluded to earlier on, that engine change obviously being a factor. They might be trying to just break it in slightly, just get it so it's up to top performance. Let's now head through this next right now at turn 3. And here we have Yannick Mettler through this next right as well, also showing improvements currently in the 1st and 2nd sector, looking to certainly find himself some extra in sector 3 as well. Currently sat in 5th place. No doubt very close to Alan Valente as well. This could be a huge opportunity for them to perhaps maybe try and get closer and closer as they now head out through the start-finish straight, past the pit lane on the right-hand side. What can Yannick Mettler offer us? Lost a little bit, quite a bit in fact, in the final sector. So 5th place, he shall remain. I'd imagine, certainly given the fact we've got just under 15 minutes left, that a lot of these drivers will be strapping on that new rubber, Adam, and they'll be going out for their final runs.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong there in the slightest. That's exactly what we expect to happen in short order. There is the number 54 Mercedes of Yannick Mettler, the SPS Automotive team, backed heavily by the car barn, which is a venture of Dexter Muller and some of his partners. A real family affair down there in the garage, particularly this weekend. Dexter's got his mum with him. Lovely lady she is. Met her for the first time this weekend, and Yannick Mettler with his fiancée in tow as well. Such a friendly team, and quite the spirit in the paddock as well, and sometimes on the spirit. Yeah. Only after the racing, it must be said. Christian Kozanovsky in that number 5 car. He's been really quick this session, and you can see there he's only a third of a second off of Joe Osborne. This is set to be a 1:42 out of this AM car, the Christian Kozanovsky driven Ferrari. 3rd fastest, Mr. Kozanovsky. I know you've got some experience around this circuit, but my oh my, what a lap time that is. We've seen the likes of Jamie Stanley put in good times in an AM class car at Paul Ricard, for example, but Kozanovsky is putting a great showing in there. Could well end up starting on the first 2 rows of the grid. If you're watching this series for the first time, the AM class, the Pro-Am class and the Pro class, they all run to the same BOP, so there is no mechanical difference. Theoretically, the car should be just as quick. But of course, you would expect, as a rule, the AM cars to be slower, but Kozanovsky has taken the form book and burnt it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Contesting with the likes of the pro talent, such as Glenn Van Berlo as well. Very, very good visit from Christian Kozanovsky, as now we see Jesse Krohn come down to turn 1. The first visit of the BMW this weekend for this season, and it's wonderful to see it, the M4 making its way down through towards turn 3 very shortly, and out of turn 2. And there you can see the nice blue Beamer heading through now, donned by that of Jesse Krohn, currently sat in 13th place as part of the Pro-Am contingent too. Currently sat behind Giuseppe Cipriani, who's also representing AM right now. And he'll certainly make his way up towards turn 4 as well. Nothing quite beats the sight of a big, beastly BMW, does it, Adam?
Well, it depends. If it's in the rear-view mirrors on the fast lane of the motorway, perhaps anything would be better to see. But certainly in race car trim, the BMW M4 GT3 is an imposing sight, bouncing over the curves at turn 6 and 7 here. Jesse Krohn about 4.5 tenths off in sector 1. Let's see, though, what the rest of the lap looks like. Liberal use of the curves from Krohn as he continues to press on. Now flicks through turn 11. Again, on the inside curve, massively, nicely within the track limits, though, about 6 tenths off the pole time at the moment. However, he's only 13th fastest for now, so if he can get himself into the high 42s or indeed the low 43s, it'll be a good improvement and put him well into the top 10 from 13th as it stands. Krohn through the final corner now will look to get a good run out of the turn. Here comes the big BMW then across the line, and it will be a 1:42.878, 5th fastest for Jesse Krohn.
Yeah, great visit for Jesse Krohn, now up into the top 5. Certainly with just over 11 minutes still to go. That's a very good place to position yourself, but obviously don't forget there's going to be drivers coming out on fresh tyres, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled as to whether he can perhaps launch himself further up as well. Further back, Alan Valente now in 6th with Yannick Mettler, who is out on an outlap now in 7th fastest as well. Julian Darris back in the street art car in P8 as well. In the 007 Aston Martin. We now watch the BMW make its way up through towards turn 4. Jesse Krohn again finding improvements in that first sector too. 3 tenths up currently on his previous best, so not bad at all. So as he makes his way down through towards this next straight, he's got yet another chicane to take. The chicane at turn 6 and 7. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him, so hopefully it'll be hopefully not catch him or tie him up too much.
Well, he's clearly already backed out of the lap there. Valentin Pierberg was just ahead in the number 20 SPS Mercedes, so Jesse Krohn deciding to back out the lap there. Was a slight personal best through the first sector, but we'll see how Jesse Krohn continues on. Here's Giuseppe Cipriani in the number 8. Lavazza Bax, Il Barone Rampante Lamborghini, and Cipriani in the number 8 car, currently 13th fastest on a 1 minute 44.3. Always a strong driver, always a contender in whatever class he sits himself into in the International GT Open. However, of course, he has missed a few races this year. He has had some car problems this year, so he is rather on the back foot in the AM class.
Yeah, at this moment in time, there's a little bit of work to do. It's Roman Zamian, man who's currently sat in 14th, currently behind Giuseppe Cipriani in the classification, making his way around the next left at turn 13 for Kessel Racing. And as things stand, currently it was recorded a 37.164 in that initial sector. Sector 2, 42.665. He'll come up towards the line. There is Ben Jahites as well. He makes his way up across the line as well. And no doubt looking for some improvements his side. There's yesterday's winning car. And it's showing improvements again in P6 currently. Trying to find its way through past Jesse Krohn, who usurped him earlier on. Here comes Alan Valente. He's down to P7 for now as Seb Bone moves up to P6. And he crosses the line, 5th fastest again for Alan Valente. Manages to retake his previous spot.
There you go, so Valente up to 5th position. Then in that number 33 car, Karel Basch has been on a mighty lap, only 5,000ths of a second off of Joe Osborne's time as of the second sector split, but he's got a car ahead of him. It's one of the Oregon Lamborghinis. It should be getting a shift on, but it looks like it may have cost Karel Basch slightly through the final sector. What kind of time can Karel put in? It's still a good one, a 1 minute 42.397 puts him 3rd fastest, and we just freeze the can there as he goes to the inside of, I believe that might have been Van Berlo, but that was rather unfortunate for him. Yannick Mettler on a good lap at the moment as well. He's purple in the first 2 sectors. It's a massive lap from Yannick Mettler, a 1 minute 41.884. The stealthy black and red SPS Mercedes snuck up on everybody and is now almost 4/10 quicker than Joe Osborne.
The sole man in the 141s as well. What a visit by that of that Mercedes. Yannick Mettler now 1st fastest, heading through now towards this next left-hander out of turn 2 and very shortly turn 3, where he'll then take himself up towards turn 4. But what a visit. Karel Basch, obviously no qualms with that new engine, Adam. They're on the pace. They're only mere thousandths in that middle sector, as you alluded to, but 3rd fastest at that time, now 4th fastest. Fumanelli, though, out on an outlap, as is Joe Osborne, with 7.5 minutes still to go. 7 minutes and 20 now. This is getting interesting.
I would have loved to have sat in the garage when Dexter Muller saw that time appear on the board. I bet there was some language. Great to see that the SPS Automotive team have given them a good car this morning. Clearly, Mettler on a roll here at the Hungaroring today. Let's see what Yannick can do on this lap. He was a 10.5 down on himself in the first sector, but maybe he strung together something special in sector 2 around turn 11. A little bit off again in sector 2, so not quite as quick on this lap. He may not need to best himself. I don't think we've seen a car in the 141s all weekend. Yannick Mettler has just lowered the bar significantly.
Yeah, amazing indeed to see them on top billing. Of course, there's still a little bit of time left, and with Joe Osborne and David Fumanelli now fully aware of what's ahead of them, I'm sure without a doubt they're going to be looking to challenge Joe Osborne, of course, who we would expect to certainly find his way up. There is Yannick Mettler across the line, 42.607. Not quite what he did last time, that's for sure. 41.884 to beat as he now makes his way down through towards turn 1. And there you can see certainly the drivers out and about. Only a small selection in the pit lane. 4 cars currently in there. Christian Kozanovsky in P6, he's in the pits, as it's Jesse Krohn now as well. Julian Darris in the pits as well as Stephen Earle. And we've also got Janos Santa as well, who's currently sat in the pits too. Karel Basch, though, fastest of all in the first sector, 2,000ths up on that of Yannick Mettler right now, so going really, really fast right now, heading through the middle sector. He's got the chicane to take, as they stand, certainly the new engine looking good.
And again, as a rule, with the form book, you'd expect the Audi to be strong in this middle sector compared to the Mercedes. So he's got the car underneath him, seemingly. That engine seems to be working nicely. Let's see what Bash's middle split is, though. It was a mega lap from Mettler, so no shame if he's not quite as quick, and he's not through that middle sector, 3/10 off. However, as it stands, he would place himself just ahead of Joe Osborne if he nails that final sector. Let's see what Karel Bash can do. Currently 4th on the provisional grid rankings. Can he get onto the front row? Around the final corner now in the Olymp Racing 777 car. Has to take a couple of bites of the wheel through the final corner, but gets a nice run out onto the main straight. Here comes Karel Bash. It's a 1:42.168. He does indeed just about pit Joe Osborne. Osborne demoted to 3rd place, and Fumanelli's on a mission. Keep your eyes on this 133 car. You've got Joe Osborne behind him as well, who's on a decent lap too. Fumanelli across the 2nd sector split, and he's 2/10 purple. He's 2/10 up on the lap time of Yannick Mettler. Well, here comes Fumanelli around turn 13-14. He's going to want to square off that final corner, George, to try and get this pole position provisionally.
Yeah, purple currently, as it stands, just over 2/10 of a second, and David Fumanelli doing what he does best right now. We saw it at Estoril in our very first round of the championship. Comes up towards the line now, David Fumanelli. What's it going to be? Is it enough to knock off Yannick Mettler? It is. It's a 1:41.535. Joe Osborne goes second fastest as well, but purple for David Fumanelli once again, and we see that Kessel Ferrari back on top spot once again in qualifying. Unbelievable, but we've still got, crucially, 3 minutes and just over 40 seconds to go.
Wow, Fumanelli there with a mighty offering in the 133 Kessel Racing Ferrari. Murat Hadaroglu will be wearing a wry smile down there in the garage at the moment. Fumanelli doing it again. At the moment, he's got just over a 1/4 of a second over Joe Osborne's time to go 2nd fastest, and he's up on himself already. 9,000ths of a second found in the 1st sector. It's the finest of margins, but sometimes it can be useful. Hopping over the curves at 6 and 7 goes Fumanelli, tips it now into turn 8. You have to make sure the weight balance is shifted before you try and switch the car into turn 9. The fast left-hander of turn 10 follows, and then you've got to try and stay within the track limits at T11. So easy to drift out too far wide. He absolutely nails it though, runs to the furthest extremities he possibly can, and Fumanelli now into turn 12. He's a bit down on himself in the middle sector. I think it's going to take a mega final couple of corners to try and better himself. I don't think he's quite going to do it. And we shift focus to Joe Osborne, who's not quite besting himself on this lap either, but Fumanelli again proving that not only is he fast, but he can keep setting these 41s all day long if he wants to. He's going to come across the line now. Is it a 41? Not quite. I think he might have backed out of it towards the end there, a 42.497, but I'm sure he'll keep pressing on. We're down, coming towards the final 2 minutes of this session. 2 minutes and 10 to go. Is anyone going to be able to best this car and this man? Kessel Racing's David Fumanelli.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. 2 minutes to go now. Obviously, they're going to be perhaps teeing up yet one final run. Fumanelli going slowly, though, in towards the next left. Joe Osborne also having to do the same. He's currently in behind that of the Ferrari. There is the Oregon car number 19, belonging to Glenn Van Berlo, currently sat in 2nd place. And trying to move his way up the field as well. Currently off, though, the time-wise as to making improvements. Currently 1.2 based off that 2nd sector split as he now works his way around the final corner at 14. Lamborghini Huracan. Ben Van Berlo, of course, excited to be taking part in this championship, has been very much in amongst it. Fran Reuter showing improvements as well. Glenn Van Berlo crosses the line to record a 43.046. Fran Reuter, though, goes 9th fastest, a 1:42.811. So a good visit by the Mercedes to move its way now up well and truly into the top 10, just ahead of S.A. Krohn and just behind Benji Hites.
Yeah, Fran Reuter on his return to the championship this weekend, getting used to the AMG GT3 car. He's given me a heads up that I'll see him again in the paddock this year, so we'll see quite who or what he is piloting at that particular weekend coming up in the future, but hopefully we get to see plenty more of Fran Reder, who has been a great force to be reckoned with in this championship in years gone by. Reder bettering himself in the first sector, just over 2/10 off the time of Fumanelli in split 1, but still setting his own personal best, hopping over the curbs there. Now tipping it in to the turn 8 and 9 sequence. And Reder looking strong at the moment. These AMG GT3s seem to like the Hungaroring from what I have been told. And now across the second sector split, looked like he backed out of it a bit, and indeed he has a 1.1 seconds off already as the checkered flag comes out. This is his last chance. Someone's spinning at turn 13. Who is it? Let's wait and see. Oh, it's Van Berlo. Glenn Van Berlo was clearly pressing on his final lap, all the way down in 7th place. He wouldn't have been happy with that. And now, on his final opportunity to improve, he's had a spin.
Yeah, it puts him in a difficult position as well. P7, that's where he's going to end up, because the checkered flag has been raised, it is being waved, and indeed we just see Fran Reder come in across the line, and he finishes 9th fastest. The majority of the cars are in the pit lane. Cipriani still out and about here, be coming across the line very shortly too. In fact, he does come into the pit. So that is qualifying over. David Fumanelli is your pole sitter with a 141.535. Once again adds yet another pole position to his belt for this season. I tell you what, he doesn't half amaze, doesn't he?
Fumanelli, always good value for money in the qualifying sessions. He's on pole then, and he'll be starting alongside Joe Osborne. They've been side by side a few times this year, so that should be fun. SPS Automotive Performance will be delighted to see Yannick Mettler all the way up in 3rd place, alongside Carol Bash. A great effort from the Olymp Racing Audi guys, who received an engine overnight. The car now up to 4th place. Alan Valente 5th. Christian Kozanovsky, great performance from the AM number 5 Ferrari to be 6th fastest in the session, ahead of the pair of Oregon Lamborghinis, Fran Reder and Jesse Krohn, rounding out the top 10. Sebastian Bold, 11th fastest for Get Speed Performance, ahead of Julian Darras of Street Art Racing. Martin Conrad, 13th fastest, Roman Zamian next, Valentin Pierberg 15th, Cipriani in 16th, Janine Schaffner taking 17th place ahead of Kiki Saknana, Stephen Earle and Janos Shanta in the mighty screaming Aston Martin V12 Vantage. Rima Jafali, of course, not setting a time in the session. That car, unfortunately, won't be out again today after their incident in the Saturday race. If you are just joining us, Rima Jafali A-OK after the crash she experienced in the race yesterday, but unfortunately the car too damaged to run again today. Yannick Mettler, 3rd fastest there. The first of the drivers to get down to the 141s in the session. He lowered the benchmark, and then Joe Osborne set about doing the very same thing. He nets himself 2nd on the grid as the team continues at Optimum Motorsport to try and recover from the poor performance at Spa. David Fumanelli, though, on pole position, and we're going to hear from the mighty fast driver now.
David Fumanelli, 2nd pole position of the season.
3rd, actually.
3rd! My mistake.
And the 4th one we missed it by 8,000. So no, it's great. I mean, we did a 3 pole position out of 4, so this shows how the team is working. The car is fantastic, always in quali and even in the race. So I think we're doing a fantastic job. It was very important on this track to start in front, because it's a very twisty and narrow track. So hopefully we can get a clear start and get a gap. But I'm very happy.
And yesterday was a little bit more hectic.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday, because of the safety car, there was a very messy pit stop and pit exit. I think there was an incomprehension between some rules, but at the end we got a penalty, so nothing we could do, but we tried to get the podium again today.
Another day today, so let's see what happens.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you, well done by now.
There you go, David Fumanelli on pole along with Murat Hadaroglu for our race later on this afternoon. Make sure you join us for more action from the International GT Open this afternoon.